Welcome back trackside here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. The sun is setting, but we have still got one race to go, and it includes these cars sitting down in pit lane ready to go. Just behind them, a couple of our volunteer officials' cars, Victorian Fire and Rescue Squad there in that wagon. And here is what will happen as part of round 2 of the Shannons Nationals for 2019 on Sunday morning, 9:50. The Michelin Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge will open up tomorrow morning. Ignore what's on the live stream on your screens. That's from the last round. Then it'll be Australian GT for their warm-up session. Then we'll have S5000s and TCRs will open things up there as well. Formula 4's on track now. The Cam's Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. Driving down this magnificent Gardner Straight. We've had the argument, is it Wayne Gardner, is it Frank Gardner? Well, it's four-wheel race meeting, so it's got to be Frank Gardner this weekend. Thanks, Wayne. You can have the MotoGP weekend and World Superbikes here at Phillip Island. We'll have Frank this weekend. So cars out there for the Cam's Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. Darren Smith and Rob James has joined me again. Rob, this is the 4th time today we've seen these cars, but this is actually race 2 of round 4 of the championship.
Even more confusing, this is race 5 of the weekend as well. So there's a lot of numbers flying around this weekend. As we take a look back now at the highlights from race 4 of the Cam's Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship, and it was a frantic affair with Lewis Leeds getting a lot of wheel spin off the start, and Ryan Sewell getting that position there. Jackson Walls and Harry Hayek having it coming together as well early on in the race. Christian Mansell in his debutant weekend in Formula 4 had a little off the track as well. He's done a stellar job otherwise all weekend long, but it was the battle up the front with Ryan Sewell, Lewis Leeds and Antonio Studi, the podium getters in race number 4 for the weekend. Ryan Sewell and Lewis Leeds, the most experienced drivers in the field of Formula 4 this weekend, and their experience showed.
Certainly did. Wheel to wheel like that, going down the very fast and long straight here at Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Sometimes ends in tears as we go to pictures live coming out of Siberia and climbing the hill. A magnificent day it's been here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Shadows are long, and this is going to become troublesome for the grid as they come round over the 12 laps of the journey for this race. It'd be Harry Hayek for Team BRM. He'll be leading the field around to take up his pole position. Ryan Sewell in the Ray White BRM Miguel. Then it'll be Antonio Studi for AGI Sport. Lockie Hughes in the Leipzig Australia BRM car there as well. So we've got a bit of a blend there. BRM starting to push back to the top over the AGI Sport drivers. Lewis Leeds will be out of 5th place in the car number 23. Jackson Walls, Emerson Harvey for Shannons Insurance, and Christian Mansell in the number 7 will round out our field. There's the scars on the track left over from the Porsche race earlier on this afternoon, and that's a great shot over the side of Lockie Hughes. Great shot actually of the safety employed on the Formula 4 Miguel chassis. Nice high sides, take it right up to the top of the driver's helmet and make it very, very safe indeed for these Formula 4 cars. Great that the Miguel chassis has been employed here in Australia. There are a number of different chassis around the world that are used in Formula 4. These cars come down to the grid.
Yeah, but you talk about Wayne and Frank Gardner in terms of choose your own adventure for what you want to call the straight this weekend. It's also the same with F4. You can pick different bits of engines, chassis suppliers, tyres. They're all homologated around the world, and you can pick what parts you want. And this is the combination that we have, and this is the combination we have at the front. It is Harry Hayek and Ryan Sewell on pole position. It's a reverse grid race. That's why we're seeing our round 3 winner Lewis Leeds out in P5 and on the 3rd row of the grid as the revs rise for the final race on Saturday, the Shannons Nationals, and we're off. And Harry Hayek gets a brilliant start in his return to Formula 4 racing. Ryan Sewell just hangs back in 2nd position as they make the approach to turn 1.
All away from the grid safely there, but that's a terrific start there for Harry Hayek. Great to see that, topping off his returning weekend to Australian open wheeler racing, getting away from the line nicely. We've set himself up for the early part of this race to just be in control of it, get to feel what it's like to be out in the front again of this field. And don't be mistaken, they'll be breathing down his neck like no tomorrow as we start to see the field pushing through. Ryan Sewell, interestingly enough, not getting away as well as what he has been the rest of this weekend. In fact, one of the more experienced campaigners in the Cam's Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship field, as we just watch Hayek going wide there. There's a Studi coming into P3 there. Started out of 3, holding position. Wide
Antonio
there for Hayek
Studi gets
cold
around on
ties.
the inside of Ryan Searle. What a brilliant pass by Antonio Studi.
Doing a nice job there. The second generation racer, son of Sam. Very well known through Formula Holden and Formula 3 early days here in this country.
And this battle is not over. Ryan Searle wants to get that place back. We've got a long way to go in this race as they approach MG. Ryan Searle, having none of it, gets on the inside of Antonio Studi. They're side by side through MG. Will they hang on? Antonio Studi gets the better line off the exit, but it's going to be what kind of exit do they have on the final corner on the approach to turn 1? Aero-dependent circuit, of course, that slipstream, super important at a place like Phillip Island.
All open wheeler racers coming onto the straight here like to line themselves up. All forms, in fact, Formula V's here in the Nationals a couple of years ago had 50 of them line astern. They were like a snake Congo line down the straight here.
We're not line astern for Ryan Searle, and Antonio Studi just ducks back. Ryan Searle regains second place with Antonio Studi hanging on for third with Lockie Hughes and Lewis Leeds as well, the top 5. This is an angry pack of drivers, Darren. They'll be wanting to get onto that final step of the podium.
Yeah, you're starting to get the feel. You're right there, Rob. Starting to get the feel. There's a bit of aggression with these drivers out here late in the afternoon.
That's great. They're very impatient.
Exactly. You've got 12 laps to do it in. You've got 12 laps to prove your wares, and every corner counts. And I guess the other thing is nature at the moment is going to be really starting to hurt them. By that, I mean the setting sun. As they come out of Southern Loop, they will have the sun glaring across the left-hand side of the car, straight into the visor. And then as they crest Loopy Heights, it's horrible at this time of day. Lucky that they are in open-top cars. They should have all put new visors on for this race, because if you're in a tin-top car and you've got a sandblasted screen, right about now, it looks like there's a field of snow in front of you, because you come across the hill there and that sun is just right in your eyes. And we're seeing it reflect off of the visors coming down into MG.
Yeah, a few shadows across the track as well, which is a bit hard to see exactly where you would like to brake in the middle of the day. When we had pristine conditions, it's been a perfect day for motor racing here at Phillip Island, and it's been the perfect day so far for Lewis Leeds. But it's currently P5 at the moment, so he'll be looking to get that place, and he's having a look now at Lockie Hughes on the front straight. They'll be side by side again through turn 1. Antonio Studi also in the way as well. Will he benefit his senior team leader?
You're right, Rob. Perfect day, and we're having more of it again tomorrow. Apparently, the Bureau is saying picture perfect tomorrow, just like it was today. Side by side, Leeds looking to go round the number 15 there of Lockie Hughes. Lockie's got enough experience around the island now that he will hold him out if he can. Certainly putting himself in a good spot on the track. Won a race earlier today, so he knows what it's like to lead and to win races. So more of this beautiful weather tomorrow.
Ryan Searle on the inside of Harry Hayek at Honda Corner. He set the fastest lap of the race. That's why he was so close, and he gets the job done. Gets the pass on his teammate, and Ryan Searle now leads this motor race. Harry Hayek being hassled as well by Antonio Studi. So not only does he have to contend with losing the race lead on lap 3, but he's also got to defend on P2 on a very hard charging Antonio Studi.
Long shadows over the back of the hay shed now. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it as we get away.
A replay now of that move from Ryan Searle on Harry Hayek at Honda Corner. Just textbook pass.
Yeah, just dispatched him onto the ripple strips too there. That'll slow you down once you're out there in your flat bottom Formula car, that's for sure.
Have a look at this. Antonio Studi all over the back of Harry Hayek. Surely it's a matter of when and not if he gets that pass done on Harry Hayek. Could he do it on the start-finish line before turn 1 and position his car ideally? It's a little bit of a Harry Hayek train going on now. Antonio Studi ducks out of the slipstream there, side by side through on the approach to turn 1. One of the
brave stuff by Studi, a little bit in the dirt there. Ducks back in, looks to the inside now. He's selling the fakie down the inside. He was never going to try that, but can he go around the outside? The fakie to the inside on the ripple strip. The sawtooth ripple strip slows him down. The 39 pulls back in behind and says, wow, I thought I might have had you at 1, but again at 2, but the number 26 holds him out. Harry Hyack at the wheel there.
It's pretty fun
tremendous job.
It's pretty fun to watch this race. I haven't asked how much fun it would be aboard this Formula 4 car around Phillip Island. It is the perfect circuit for these open wheel wing and slicks cars, as we see Lockie Hughes now. He's this momentum shift. We saw it in the opening race of round 4 earlier this afternoon. Antonio Studi being hassled now by Lockie Hughes, who's also been hassled by Lewis Leeds. It's a train of Formula 4 cars going on here with I think Ryan Saul at the moment, just building out a little lead with all these little small battles going on. He's able to concentrate and just keep building on that momentum.
As opposed to round 2 at Sydney Motorsport Park, where we had Lewis Leeds pretty much just blitz the field. We've had a completely different swing in the championship this weekend, haven't we? We've had different race winners right throughout today. Of course, Lewis, in very similar conditions to this yesterday, took the first win for the weekend, and we've had different winners right throughout the rest of today.
Lewis Leeds wanting to get that pass done on Lockie Hughes for P4. This is, of course, race 2 of round 4, so they started fresh in terms of the point structure, and Lewis Leeds, the victor in round 3. He'll be eager to go back-to-back here at Phillip Island, his home track. Lockie Hughes and Lewis Leeds, they're side by side through turn 1. This is absolutely brilliant, showing their experience, Lockie Hughes and Lewis Leeds, at different stages of their careers, but categorically, there's certainly elite company at the moment in Formula 4.
We've said it earlier on today that Lewis Leeds, the veteran of Australian Formula 4,
still a
racing.
teenager.
Yeah, and and Lockie Hughes, the newcomer, where there's only really months in age between the two of them, but just a couple of years of experience difference in Formula 4. The proving ground internationally now for open wheel races.
Harry Hyack just settling back into a groove after losing that race lead to Ryan. So Ryan nearly just under a second lead now between he and Hyack. Hyack's got a studio all over him, but he's hung on in there, to be fair. So he's kept those Hankook tyres on the track, hasn't burnt them up too early in this part of the race. Certainly the conditions cooling off now, so whether they get grading on those Hankook tyres remains to be seen, but certainly hanging on in there is Harry Hyack for P2.
Ryan Saul setting the fastest lap of this race, 1:35.43. Early stages, 12 laps is the journey. We've got 4 completed, coming around to complete 5.
Christian Mansell having a look at Jackson Walls, a Petrucci Corsa entry. Christian Mansell, his first ever race weekend at Phillip Island, his first ever Formula 4 race weekend, and he's hassling the mightily experienced Jackson Walls. They nearly touch on the front straight. Getting that slipstream, Christian knows to get that car lined up. Actually, a bit of a miracle story for Christian Mansell. The AGI Sport Mechanics did a brilliant job to rebuild the gearbox in that car. Antonio Studi runs wide though through turn 2.
And has a lock-up too, locked up the right-hand rear.
He's got Lewis Leeds all over the back of him as well. So not only is he wanting to snatch that second place off Harry Hyack, he's got to contend with his own teammate right behind him, wanting 3rd place.
The run down into turn 4 this time. Antonio Studi, you get the feeling he's getting a little bit impatient here at the moment. He's really sat back actually the last 2 races. He's done a bit of a watching duty on the cars in front. He's, I guess, getting a little bit impatient, wanting to get part of the action to make up these places that he needs to vie into the championship.
It's still early days yet in this motor race. We're only halfway through the race distance at the moment. We saw this earlier today. Just hanging back, biding your time, just applying that pressure. That's what's really going to get the guy in front, really. So we've not only got the slipstream factor, but it's also the mind games out here on track. The cars are so even, and the teams do such a mighty job preparing these cars, and the drivers are so good. They're the best out of karting in years gone by, and they're certainly the best in Australian Formula 4 at the moment. Up the front, it's a little bit of a train now between the Harry Hyack train with Antonio Studi and Lewis Leeds behind. Gap's starting to stretch out a little bit. Ryan Saul now 1.2 seconds over Harry Hyack.
He's got it back out over that second barrier at the moment, so that's a good move. In fact, establishing with half the race to go, a second lead in Formula 4 is a country mile in terms of this sort of racing. Antonio Studi again, he's certainly getting impatient, and good on him too. He really has. He's played his part in the previous races and let the battle unfold out in front. Now he's weighing in. He wants to be one of the protagonists in this competition, and he looks right round the outside. It's a fast way. He's going to have a head of steam, but have a look at Lewis Leeds. He weighs in on it as well and draws alongside Antonio Astudi, they all fall back in behind Harry Hyack and get back in the line for the run down to Siberia.
It's amazing the skill and ability, but more so the trust these drivers have in their cars that they will stop on a dime.
You're right, the grip is something that these guys are experiencing, and the trust, the aero and the mechanical grip, what the tyres are offering up is what we're seeing here. Antonio Astudi trying a different line up the inside. This is what Lewis Leeds did in an earlier race today and got airborne over the ripple strip. They come back into shot now. Enter on stage prompt, exit off prompt around turn 11 they go. And Lewis Leeds now weighing into this role.
Yes, Astudi just cutting off his own teammate. I don't think Lewis would be too chuffed about that, but it doesn't matter. They're all racing for position. They've got their own championships to worry about. Antonio's worried about his, not Lewis's. And Harry Hyack, well, he's just entered the championship, so he's certainly enjoying this battle so far, blocking his AGI Sport rivals with Ryan Sewell up the front. Oh, and the rear wing has come off Harry Hyack.
Rear wing off Hyack's car. That will be really awful to get through turn 1.
Oh, that'd be a rude shot trying to go into their flat with no rear wing all of a sudden.
That is horrible. Oh. And it's a clean off too. Look, it's like
so it looks
clean
like
back on the F4.
Yeah, it looks like Antonio Astudi's just tagged the back of the Team BRM machine, just trying to get that slipstream.
You can see where it is too. It's just tucked behind the 200 metre marker, the 200 metre brake marker into turn 1. It's parked up off the side of the track there. So
the officials have about a minute.
There was no touching, was there? They weren't that close.
Well, that's for the stewards to work out, Darren. After this race, we'll see the footage afterwards.
But the way that these wings are mounted is that they are well further forward of where the crumple box is on the back.
It's actually a fair point. I'm not sure that they generate enough downforce to be that turbulent to make the rear wing just fly off. So there'll certainly be some questions about that one. But yeah, stunning to see that happen through turn 1, and certainly a rude shock for Harry Hyack.
Yeah, and I guess the benefactor of that is these two. But unfortunately, Harry Hyack, who was in a podium finishing position, will take no further part in this race competitively. That's for sure.
Such a shame. He was actually on the podium for round 3 earlier today, and a great comeback for Harry Hyack in his return to motor racing, effectively.
Yeah, it certainly was a tremendous result there for him, and I guess at the moment this is something that's happened that's not his fault. It's not of his doing. The car's just...
We're seeing it pass.
Hyack is gone, but Lewis Leeds is weighing in on this battle now. He draws alongside Antonio Astudi, vastly experienced Lewis Leeds, and hey, Astudi these days has been around a while too, so they're both drawing on all their experience and skill. Leeds comes through and takes position number 2 off Antonio Astudi, who only just got second place in the race 1 lap ago.
Great respect between the teammates, of course. Of course, the number 1 rule in motor racing is don't tag your teammate, and that was a textback manoeuvre in terms of just allowing enough room but being firm enough to hold your ground in your position.
Someone needs to tell Jos Verstappen that at Baku last year, didn't they?
Something like that. And we've got Lewis Leeds now in P2. He's in the box seat at the moment. Ryan Sewell, though, on the Morris Finance leaderboard, he has a 4.4 second lead over Antonio Astudi now, and Lewis Leeds are just having their own little battle at the moment. Lockie Hughes, though, he's got a very racy Emerson Harvey and Jackson Walls right behind him as well. Actually, sorry, that's Christian Mansell, I should say. He's doing a bang-up job at the moment so far. In his first ever weekend at Phillip Island, it's daunting enough to have your motor racing debut in any sort of machinery, let alone a Formula 4 around Phillip Island. He's doing the absolute business this weekend.
Here's the worst bit for him, is that every other track after Phillip Island, it's just going to be a bit ho-hum, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. But
come to the Mecca, come to the best place.
He's been testing all season long in this car with AGI Sport, so he's actually quite experienced in the cars, but not in race trim. It's a whole other story when it comes to that. Doing a bit of karting in Europe as well is Christian Mansell too, so he's very credentialed, very experienced. I certainly would trust him over myself or yourself even, Darren, no offence, in terms of driving these machines
Absolutely,
very well.
Couldn't agree more. This is tough stuff. Have a look at this down the wrong side of the track, essentially offline in the number 15 goes Lockie Hughes. He's trying to shake Mansell out of his draft, and Jackson Walls. Lockie Hughes led and won a race this morning, finds himself down in position 4 and battling with these newcomers to the game as well. So Lockie Hughes has been at it over a year now in Formula 4, and he is just holding out this charge now from Christian Mansell. Jackson Walls in the background there as well. Here's the battle as well. Lewis Leeds to Antonio Astudi in the Apex orange and blue Miguel. And this battle rages on, would you believe, for 4th, 5th and 6th in this race.
We're approaching the final laps as the sun sets on a glorious Phillip Island. What a picture. We're so lucky to have this racetrack in our very own country. We're certainly blessed to be racing here.
Gee, our forefathers did a good job, didn't they, to buy this plot of land and to draw a map in the dust and cut it out. Right back there in the 20s, forefathers of the Phillip Island Auto Racing Club did a terrific job.
And Ryan Sewell is making the most of this glorious bit of track. He's got a 4.3 second lead over Lewis Leeds and Antonio Estudi. It's really these two who are fighting out for the, I guess, the final two positions on the podium. Lockie Hughes and Christian Mansell just missing out on the podium. Actually, Lockie Hughes had a fuel sensor issue. That's why he was a non-starter for the previous race. It was a very simple fix, just one small part, and that costs you a bag of points. Was a non-starter for that, so he's certainly eager to, I guess, damage limitation in this race and maximise the amount of points he can score.
Lewis Leeds has just done the fastest lap of the race, 1:34.90 on lap 10, so he's on a charge. He's certainly dispatched with the Studi, and I would suggest at 3.8 seconds over Ryan Sewell that it's a bridge too far away to cross this in this particular race, but certainly Leeds is showing he's got the pace in the closing moments.
Tell you what, brilliant driving by Christian Mansell so far to be really hassling last year's Burson Auto Parts rookie, I should say, in Lockie Hughes. And full respect to Lockie as well for just not sort of thinking, oh, this guy's a bit of easy work, I'll get him out of the way. So they're certainly racing for sheep stations at the moment. And have a look at him, Christian Mansell on the inside of Honda Corner at turn 4. Just runs him wide. I don't think Lockie would be too thrilled about that. I just gave him the commentator's kibosh at the moment, so I'm certain there'll be words between those two.
So Lockie Hughes just loses 2 spots as we see Mansell and Jackson Wall stream on through there. So got fed one on the way into turn 4 and then went out over the back of the ripple strip. Lucky there's a hard stand there. He kept it all straight and it rejoined. But that's our race leader, Ryan Sewell, over 3.5 seconds leads now to Lewis Leeds, Estudi, Hughes, Mansell, Walls, Harvey and Hayek come around to start the final lap of this race. It's
like the final stage of the Tour de France. Everyone's just holding position. They're not going to make a last-minute dash.
What, champagne glass in hands up the Champs-Élysées?
Not for these guys. They're under 18, most of them, so it'll be mineral water for the guys under 18. But we see Lewis Leeds with the fastest lap. He's still having a crack, though, and just maintaining that gap over Estudi.
Been some cracking racing, some really good, talented driving, aggressive driving too, which is what this is all about. We've watched Antonio Estudi with a watching brief, and in this race he has gone, forget it, I am actually on it this time. I'm going to take it up to these guys, and he's been quite aggressive. He's learnt, he's taken notes, he's found out what the opposition are all about, and this race Antonio Estudi has attacked, albeit he's in P3, which is where he's been previously, but certainly getting it right up on the wheel as we get a good look in our race leader, Ryan Sewell of car number 5, coming around this beautiful run up to the top of the hill to Lukey Heights. There's Lewis Leeds, brought that gap back now. It's down under 3.5 seconds between race leader and Lewis Leeds. So Ryan Sewell not setting faster laps, but Lewis Leeds in second place, certainly setting the fastest lap in this race. And in fact, the only one to dip into the 1:34s in this race. And right around the top of the track, the start of the race that was in setting sun, it is in little patches with the shadows, but here comes Ryan Sewell. The checkered flag is at the ready for race 2 of round 4 of the CAMS Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. Goes to Ryan Sewell, a different race winner again here this afternoon at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Coming home in second place, some 2.8 seconds, made a half a second in the last lap up, is Lewis Leeds. Antonio Estudi home for third place. And what a fantastic race in the dying light here, like it was yesterday, Rob, at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, Christian Mansell, a very impressive P4 on his debutant weekend. Jackson Rawls P5, Lockie Hughes P6, just missing out on a couple of extra points after that DNF earlier this afternoon. Emerson Harvey rounding out the final finishes. Harry Hayek, of course, losing his rear wing. He took no more part in this motor race. But what a brilliant sunset we've enjoyed here at Phillip Island, and some good hard racing between these very equipped teenagers.
Some big teams behind the scenes there as well. BRM fighting back with the win from Ryan Sewell. AGI Sport have had a really good start to the 2019 Camps Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship season. And BRM have fought back today with a win there to Ryan Sewell, albeit that the next 3 spots are AGI Sport drivers. Lewis Leeds, Antonio Astuti and Christian Mansell. Great to see Christian after a bit of a torrid start to the day's racing today, up into position number 4. Jackson Walls from Objective Racing, Lockie Hughes in the Leipzig Australia BRM outfit, Emerson Harvey for Shannons and Focus on Furniture, and unfortunately Harry Hyack didn't get finish on the lead lap after not a great start to that race. So we look to tomorrow now for the Formula 4s, and they are the last race on the program again tomorrow afternoon, starting at about 3:10. The Formula 4 race for the weekend. Thank you very much, Rob James, as we will go down to Aaron Noonan in pit lane.